What if the very food you've trusted for years to keep you healthy was silently working against you? Millions of seniors begin their mornings with a warm bowl of oatmeal, believing it's the safest, most heart-friendly choice. And in its pure form, it is. But here's the shocking truth. One small mistake, just a spoonful of the wrong add-in, can quietly drain your energy, spike your blood sugar, and even harm your heart. Before we dive in and reveal the 8 foods that turn oatmeal from healing to harmful, tell us in the comments, where are you watching this from? Watching until very end, because what you discover here could change the way you eat and better heal. Number 1. Oatmeal is healthy until the wrong add-ins quietly turn it against the body. Oatmeal has earned a reputation across generations and continents as one of the most wholesome breakfasts. From the highlands of Scotland to the family farms of the American Midwest, a warm bowl of oats has symbolized simplicity, comfort, and nourishment. Nutritionally, this image is well earned. Plain oats are rich in soluble fiber, particularly beta-glucan, which helps lower LDL cholesterol, supports stable blood sugar, and improves digestion. Oats are also naturally low in fat and sodium, and provide essential nutrients like magnesium, manganese, and B vitamins, making them an ideal base for a senior's daily meal. However, as the body ages, the way it responds to food shifts dramatically. The digestive tract slows down, insulin sensitivity decreases, and organs such as the liver and kidneys become less efficient at filtering additives and excess sugars. This is where even a healthy habit like oatmeal can backfire, quietly and over time. The problem begins not with the oats themselves, but with what is added to them. In many American households, the morning bowl is sweetened, softened, and upgraded with a host of processed toppings: brown sugar, artificial syrups, sweetened nut butters, or flavored milk. In theory, these seem harmless or even comforting, but in practice, they can transform a heart-healthy meal into a metabolic burden. Studies from both the Mayo Clinic and the European Society for Clinical Nutrition have shown that once simple whole foods are combined with processed sugars and artificial ingredients, the body's response changes. When blood sugar levels spike, the liver becomes taxed, and chronic inflammation becomes more likely. For older adults already managing conditions like prediabetes, hypertension, or fatty liver, this daily stress can add up, subtly impairing energy, memory, and even immune function. There's a quiet irony in this. In trying to improve oatmeal, the essential value of the food is lost. The oats, in their natural state, are enough. They were always enough. Yet beyond biology, there's a cultural depth to oatmeal worth preserving. In Nordic countries, oats are eaten with tart berries and a touch of sea salt, highlighting the grain's earthy flavor. In rural America, the tradition used to be simple: oats simmered, shared around a table without a rush. In both places, the act of eating was intentional, not just about fuel, but about care and connection. To reclaim that spirit, consider reimagining oatmeal not as a dish to be dressed up, but as a ritual of respect for the body. Add sliced almonds, fresh blueberries, a dusting of cinnamon, or a spoonful of Greek yogurt for added flavor. Let the oats speak for themselves. Preparation can become an act of self-care, a quiet moment each morning to nourish not only the body, but also the mind and memory. Sometimes health isn't found in doing more, but in doing less, more mindfully. Oatmeal is a gift when left whole. Let it stay that way. Number 2. Coffee creamers quietly damage the heart and metabolism. In countless American kitchens, a scoop of creamer stirred into a hot cup of coffee or a bowl of oatmeal feels like a small pleasure, a simple luxury that adds warmth and comfort to the morning. For many older adults, this has become a habit, something dependable and familiar. But what often feels innocent can carry unseen consequences, particularly for bodies over the age of 60. Most commercial coffee creamers, whether powdered or liquid, are made with partially hydrogenated oils. These oils are a primary source of trans fats, which are now well known to raise low-density lipoprotein, LDL, commonly referred to as bad cholesterol, and reduce high-density lipoprotein, HDL, also known as good cholesterol. For seniors, many of whom are already managing blood pressure, cholesterol, or heart disease, this daily dose of trans fats can quietly undermine even the most disciplined health efforts. The science on this is undeniable. A central review by the American Heart Association confirmed that even small, regular consumption of trans fats increases the risk of coronary artery disease. And the World Health Organization has classified trans fats as a non-essential, harmful substance that should be eliminated from the human diet entirely. In older adults, where arterial walls are naturally less elastic and the heart has weathered decades of strain, this risk becomes even more critical. But statistics alone rarely change habits. What often makes the shift is a story, a personal moment of reckoning. Roger, a 74-year-old retired steelworker from Ohio, had used powdered creamer in his oatmeal for nearly 20 years. He said he liked the way it thickened the oats and made them feel a little more like dessert. He thought he was being careful. After all, the label read cholesterol-free and trans-fat-free. What he didn't know was that U.S. food labeling laws allow manufacturers to claim zero trans fat if the serving size contains less than 0.5 grams. But Roger wasn't using one serving. He was using 2, sometimes 3 each morning. It wasn't until a routine blood panel revealed concerning cholesterol numbers that Roger's doctor explained the hidden risks. Together, they went through his pantry, and the creamer was the first to go. Within 6 months of switching to unsweetened almond milk and adding heart-healthy fats like flaxseed and walnuts to his oatmeal, his cholesterol levels dropped. "I thought it was the eggs," Roger said. "Turns out it was the fake cream." Then there was Lillian, 70, a retired librarian from Oregon, who adored hazelnut-flavored creamer in her oatmeal. It reminded her of holidays with her grandchildren. When she developed early signs of fatty liver disease, her nutritionist helped her transition to using coconut milk and natural vanilla. It wasn't easy at first. "I miss the sweetness," she confessed. "But after a while, I started tasting the oats again. I hadn't tasted them in years." These stories are not rare. They reflect a wider truth. Our bodies, as they age, ask for clarity, not clutter. A warm bowl of oats should be a source of healing, not harm. By removing synthetic creamers and opting for natural, nutrient-dense alternatives, seniors can maintain their health without sacrificing the comfort they cherish. It's not about restriction, it's about intention, about knowing that every ingredient either helps or hinders. In later life, that awareness is a gift, and breakfast, done wisely, can be an act of restoration. Number 3. Artificial sweeteners disrupt blood sugar and gut health in aging bodies. For decades, artificial sweeteners have been marketed as a wise choice for individuals watching their weight or managing diabetes. In American homes from Florida to California, those tiny pink, yellow, and blue packets sit beside coffee mugs and cereal bowls, used with the hope that cutting sugar means cutting risk. However, for adults over 60, the truth is more complex and, in many cases, more concerning. Artificial sweeteners, such as sucralose, aspartame, and saccharin, are chemically engineered to provide sweetness without calories. While this might sound like the perfect solution, the aging body doesn't respond to these substances the same way it did years ago. Studies from the National Institutes of Health and the University of California, San Diego, have shown that artificial sweeteners can alter the gut microbiome, impair glucose tolerance, and even lead to the development of metabolic syndrome in older populations. Why does this happen? The body expects sweetness to signal energy. When it receives sweetness without calories, it experiences biochemical confusion. This mismatch can alter insulin sensitivity, encourage cravings later in the day, and even slow metabolism. For seniors whose hormonal balance is already shifting, and whose insulin response may be weakened, this creates a dangerous loop. More cravings, more artificial sweeteners, and greater metabolic strain. These effects aren't just theoretical, they're deeply personal. Elaine, a 68-year-old retired nurse from Arizona, had been using artificial sweeteners in her oatmeal for years. She believed she was making a healthier choice. However, she noticed that her hunger returned quickly after breakfast, and she often found herself reaching for a second snack by mid-morning. Her energy level dipped, and she struggled to manage her weight despite walking daily and watching her portion sizes. It wasn't until her dietitian suggested eliminating sweeteners that Elaine noticed a change. She replaced them with cinnamon, a few fresh apple slices, and a splash of unsweetened almond milk. Within weeks, her cravings decreased, and her energy became more consistent. "I didn't realize I was feeding a cycle," she said. "I thought I was avoiding sugar, but I was just trading one problem for another." Then there's Marvin, 72, a former school principal from North Carolina, who began experiencing digestive discomfort and irregular bowel movements. After several tests, nothing serious was found, until a careful review of his diet revealed regular use of sucralose in his oatmeal and coffee. Upon removing it and replacing it with a bit of real fruit, his symptoms eased. "It wasn't just about my gut," he recalled. "I felt clearer, more grounded." Artificial sweeteners may seem like a modern convenience, but for seniors, they often come at a hidden cost. The body's internal balance, especially in later years, is delicate. Gut health is tied to immunity, mood, and even memory. And metabolic clarity is key to staying active and independent. The good news is that nature provides alternatives. Cinnamon not only adds warmth, but also supports blood sugar balance. A touch of banana or pear offers sweetness with fiber and nutrients. Vanilla extract, nutmeg, or even a spoonful of unsweetened applesauce can delight the palate without confusing the system. Ultimately, the goal isn't to eliminate sweetness from life, but to choose it wisely. To give the body something real, something it recognizes, something it can work with rather than work against. That's the kind of sweetness that nourishes, not just the body, but the whole self. Number 4. Store-bought granola is not as healthy as it appears. It fuels inflammation and sugar spikes. Granola has become one of the most misleading foods in modern diets, warned Dr. Heinrich Keller, a renowned Swiss nutritionist and advisor to several European aging and longevity programs. Especially for seniors, what is marketed as healthy often quietly promotes inflammation, blood sugar instability, and weight gain. In the United States, granola is often associated with a wholesome, natural image, evoking clean eating, active lifestyles, and heart health. It's found in health food aisles, in eco-friendly packaging, and often paired with oatmeal as a crunchy addition. But for older adults, especially those managing diabetes, cardiovascular disease, or digestive sensitivity, store-bought granola can quickly shift from helpful to harmful. The problem lies in how commercial granola is made. To achieve that sweet crunch, manufacturers bake oats with added sugars like honey, brown rice syrup, or cane sugar. Ingredients that may sound natural, but cause blood glucose to spike just as rapidly as table sugar. Additionally, many products use refined oils such as soybean or canola oil, both of which are often chemically extracted and stripped of their nutritional value. These oils, especially when heated, become pro-inflammatory and can contribute to joint pain, fatigue, and arterial damage. For seniors, the consequences go beyond temporary discomfort. Research from Harvard's T.H. Chan School of Public Health found that older adults who consumed high glycemic breakfasts, like granola with sweetened oats, had higher levels of systemic inflammation and greater difficulty maintaining stable blood sugar throughout the day. Over time, this leads to increased risk of type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular strain, and metabolic dysfunction. The illusion is deepened by serving size confusion. Granola packages often list small portion sizes, such as 1/4 cup but most people pour far more than that. What begins as an innocent topping can turn into hundreds of hidden calories and grams of sugar. For a senior with a slowing metabolism, that's a metabolic overload that may not manifest right away, but builds damage over time. Lori, 70, from Vermont, loved adding granola to her oatmeal every morning. It made breakfast feel fancy, she said, but she struggled with weight fluctuation and joint stiffness. Her doctor encouraged her to examine her breakfast routine. When she realized her granola contained 12 grams of sugar in just a handful, and that she was adding twice that, she was stunned. She switched to chopped pecans and a few coconut flakes. Within 2 months, her energy improved, and she was able to resume her morning walks without pain. It felt like my body had been whispering to me all along, she reflected. Granola isn't inherently bad. It's the way it's processed that makes the difference. Seniors benefit far more from unprocessed, fiber-rich add-ins like toasted seeds, raw almonds, walnuts, or flaxseed. These offer not only texture, but also healthy fats and essential minerals that support brain and heart function. In later life, every bite counts. A breakfast meant to energize and stabilize should not derail the day before it begins. When choosing crunch for your oats, select foods that love you back, not those that just sound good on the label. Let food be your ally, not your illusion. Number 5. Dried fruit. Overloads the liver and fuels hidden sugar spikes. Every morning at exactly 7 o'clock a.m., Harold, a 69-year-old retired railroad engineer from Kansas, would sit at his kitchen table with a bowl of oatmeal, a newspaper folded neatly at his side, and a generous handful of dried apricots sprinkled over his breakfast. He believed he was doing the right thing. After all, dried fruit came from real fruit. "It's better than sugar," he would say with quiet conviction. But despite his discipline, Harold constantly felt bloated, sluggish, and struggled with elevated liver enzymes in his routine blood work. His doctor, puzzled by the trend, eventually asked about his breakfast habits. That's when the truth came into focus. Dried fruits appear to be a healthier option, especially for older adults seeking to avoid processed sugars. But the reality is that these shriveled pieces of fruit pack an unexpectedly concentrated punch of natural sugar, mainly in the form of fructose. Unlike glucose, which is used directly by the body's cells for energy, fructose is metabolized almost entirely by the liver. And for aging bodies, particularly those already managing medications or underlying liver strain, this daily overload adds up silently. A single 1/4 cup serving of raisins contains nearly 25 grams of sugar, about the same as a candy bar. Even unsweetened dried fruits, such as dates, figs, or prunes, are high in sugar due to their reduced water content. Worse yet, many store-bought dried fruits are treated with added syrups to maintain softness and sweetness. The liver, when faced with such repeated sugar processing, begins converting the excess into fat. This can lead to non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, a condition that's increasingly common in seniors, even in those who don't drink alcohol. European studies, including research published by the British Journal of Nutrition, have drawn strong links between high fructose intake and liver stress in older adults. These studies emphasize that dried fruits, though natural, should be treated with the same caution as added sugars, especially when consumed regularly. For Harold, the change was simple but powerful. He swapped his dried apricots for half a fresh banana and a handful of blueberries. Within 3 months, his liver function markers improved, his bloating disappeared, and he felt more clear-headed in the mornings. "I didn't know that fruit could be too much," he said, "but it makes sense now. It wasn't oatmeal. It was what I put on top." This story echoes through many households. Dried fruit carries a comforting image, rustic, traditional, wholesome. But for the aging body, the dose of sugar it delivers is often too high and too fast. The better path lies in fresh alternatives. A few apple slices, some berries, or ripe pear chunks provide fiber, hydration, and gentle sweetness without overwhelming the liver. At this stage of life, every organ matters. The liver, so often overlooked, is the body's quiet worker, filtering, balancing, cleansing. It deserves support, not strain. And every morning, the choice of how we start our day can either help it heal or slowly wear it down. Number 6. Brown sugar triggers, dangerous blood sugar swings, and addictive cravings. Recent studies published by the American Diabetes Association and the European Society for Endocrinology have drawn considerable attention to the impact of rapidly absorbed sugars, such as brown sugar, on older adults. These findings indicate that even modest amounts of added sugar in the morning can lead to disproportionate spikes in blood glucose, increased fatigue, and longer-term metabolic strain in individuals over 60. What's even more concerning is that these sugar spikes aren't just physical, they're behavioral. Sugar, especially in its refined forms, activates the brain's dopamine pathways, creating short-lived pleasure followed by cravings and emotional lows. Brown sugar is often perceived as better than white sugar, more natural, less processed, somehow more forgiving. But nutritionally, the difference is negligible. Brown sugar is simply white sugar with a touch of molasses added, and it has a similar impact on the body. 1 tablespoon contains about 12 grams of sugar, enough to disrupt blood glucose balance, especially in aging bodies with slower insulin response and decreased glucose tolerance. Consider what happens after that sweet spoonful melts into a bowl of oatmeal. The initial pleasure is absolute. Blood sugar rises quickly, the brain feels rewarded, and there's a sense of calm. But for seniors, that high is short-lived. Within an hour or two, blood sugar levels drop, leaving fatigue, brain fog, and unexpected hunger, often leading to mid-morning snacking or even a second breakfast. This cycle, repeated daily, contributes to insulin resistance, weight gain around the midsection, and a reduced ability to manage appetite naturally. Research has also shown that repeated exposure to sugar heightens the body's dependency on it. The more consistently sugar is consumed, the more the brain begins to anticipate and require it to feel normal. This becomes especially tricky in later life, when emotional eating and food-based nostalgia are everyday coping mechanisms for loneliness, loss, or stress. One case comes to mind: a 67-year-old woman named Mary Ann from Michigan who added just 1 spoonful of brown sugar to her oatmeal each morning. She ate clean otherwise, walked daily, and took her medications on time. Yet she was constantly drained by 10:30 a.m. Her doctor suggested removing the sugar and replacing it with half a banana and cinnamon instead. Within a week, her energy evened out. Within a month, her cravings subsided. "It wasn't just the sweetness," she said. "It was the crash that kept me chasing it." There's also a cultural side to brown sugar. For many, it evokes memories of home, grandparents, and tradition. But honoring those memories doesn't have to mean keeping the same ingredients. It can mean transforming them, using mashed fruit, warming spices like nutmeg or clove, or adding a drizzle of pure vanilla. These choices still bring sweetness and warmth, but offer it with fiber, antioxidants, and a more stable release of energy. In the second half of life, the goal isn't to remove joy, but to redefine it. Sweetness doesn't need to come in a rush. It can arrive gently, naturally, and in a form that supports the heart, the mind, and the memory. And that one small change, made mindfully, can shift not just a meal, but an entire day. Number 7. Protein powders. Sometimes harm more than help in senior nutrition. Why is it that something intended to support strength and vitality, like protein powder, can quietly do the opposite in older adults? Protein is an essential nutrient, especially for those over 60, when muscle loss, reduced metabolism, and slower recovery begin to accelerate. Older bodies indeed need more high-quality protein to preserve strength and prevent frailty. However, what's often overlooked is how the body processes that protein, and how the source, quality, and amount matter more than ever. Many seniors turn to commercial protein powders out of convenience or habit. But not all powders are created equal. Most are ultra-processed and packed with more than just protein, containing artificial sweeteners, emulsifiers, synthetic flavorings, preservatives, and other chemical agents that require significant detoxification by the liver. These additives don't support the body. In fact, for older adults, they create a hidden workload that quietly wears down already taxed organs. Even the protein itself can be problematic. The body's ability to efficiently break down and utilize protein diminishes with age, especially in the kidneys. According to a 2021 report in the American Journal of Kidney Health, older adults who regularly consume protein powders, particularly those with low quality or excessive protein, are more likely to show early signs of kidney stress, even without a prior diagnosis. This doesn't mean protein should be avoided, but it does mean the form, amount, and frequency matter deeply. Consider the experience of Dennis, a 78-year-old retired carpenter from Tennessee. Encouraged by a fitness article, he started adding a scoop of protein powder to his oatmeal every morning. It made him feel in control, as if he were investing in his health. But after a few months, he began to feel bloated, fatigued, and noticed swelling in his ankles. A routine checkup revealed elevated creatinine levels, an early indicator of kidney strain. With the help of his doctor, Dennis removed the powder and replaced it with natural food sources, a hard-boiled egg at mid-morning and a sprinkle of pumpkin seeds at breakfast. Within a month, his lab results returned to normal, and his energy level rebounded. "I thought I was doing everything right," he said. "But sometimes the body just wants real food." Whole food sources of protein, such as eggs, Greek yogurt, nuts, seeds, legumes, and even cottage cheese, offer not just protein, but also essential cofactors like calcium, healthy fats, probiotics, and fiber. These elements work together to aid digestion, reduce inflammation, and support the function of various organs. Aging bodies aren't weaker, they're wiser. They ask for nutrients in their original, recognizable forms. While powders may seem efficient, they often bypass the body's natural cues and processes. Proper nourishment, especially in the second half of life, is slow, steady, and whole. Protein should support strength, not silently sap it. And the right choices, made with understanding and care, can sustain energy, clarity, and resilience for years to come. Number 8. Flavored instant oatmeal undermines the health benefits of a healing meal. There is something sacred about the morning ritual of preparing oatmeal. Slow, grounding, and intentional. It invites a sense of steadiness that older adults often cherish amid life's changes. But in today's fast-paced culture, even oatmeal has been rebranded for speed. Flavored instant packets with promises of heart-healthy, low-fat, or high-fiber seem convenient. Yet beneath their wholesome image lies a cocktail of synthetic additives, sodium, and hidden sugars that quietly erode the very benefits oats were meant to provide. Instant flavored oatmeals are marketed as innovative options, especially for busy seniors or those living alone. Just tear, pour, and microwave. But what often goes unnoticed is how these products are engineered, designed less for nourishment and more for shelf stability, sweetness, and texture. Most contain artificial flavorings, preservatives, thickening agents, and high levels of sodium, often ranging from 200 to 350 milligrams per serving. When added to the sodium already consumed in bread, canned foods, or processed snacks, this daily dose can silently push blood pressure into dangerous territory, especially in older adults with cardiovascular concerns. And then there's the sugar. Flavored varieties, such as maple and brown sugar or apple cinnamon, often contain 10 to 15 grams of added sugar per packet. While that may not sound extreme, for a body over 65 with reduced insulin sensitivity and a slower metabolism, it's enough to spike blood sugar, drain energy, and trigger mid-morning cravings. Worse still, many seniors use 2 packets at a time, effectively doubling the dose of what they believe is a healthy breakfast. But perhaps the most significant loss in these instant packets isn't nutritional. It's emotional and cultural. The act of cooking real oats, stirring in fresh apples, or sprinkling in a dash of cinnamon carries a sense of self-respect. It says, "This moment matters, and so do I." When we outsource that care to a packet, something meaningful is lost. Carol, a 73-year-old retired nurse from Colorado, used to eat 2 packets of flavored oatmeal each morning. It was quick, sweet, and felt healthy. Yet she often felt bloated, tired, and noticed her hands swelling by late morning. After discussing her breakfast with her nutritionist, she switched to plain rolled oats and added chopped apples and walnuts herself. Within weeks, the swelling eased, and her energy evened out. "I thought I didn't have time to cook," she said, "but it turned out I didn't have time to feel unwell." Preparing oatmeal from scratch doesn't have to be complicated. A simple routine of simmering rolled oats in water or milk takes less than 10 minutes. Adding a touch of cinnamon, a sliced banana, or a few almonds creates not only better nutrition, but also a deeper connection to the body's actual needs. In a world that prioritizes speed and convenience, choosing to slow down is a form of self-care and healing. Especially in later life, when every bite can either nourish or inflame, returning to real food is not just practical, it's powerful. Let breakfast be more than a habit. Let it be a quiet declaration. I am still here, and I still matter. At the heart of everything we've shared, there is one simple truth. Health is not found in how much we add, but in how wisely we choose. Oatmeal, in its purest form, is already a gift, gentle on the body, steady for the heart, nourishing for the mind. The harm only comes when we forget its simplicity and begin layering it with sugars, artificial sweeteners, creamers, powders, and processed shortcuts. What was once healing becomes heavy, not because the oats changed, but because we did. In later life, the body is asking us for clarity, not clutter. Every ingredient is either a friend or a burden. And the most powerful act of self-care is often not in chasing what's new or convenient, but in returning to what is whole, real, and natural. A handful of berries, a sprinkle of nuts, a touch of cinnamon. These are enough. They respect the wisdom of the body and honor the years it has carried us. But this is not just about food. It is about the way we live. Aging does not mean losing. It means refining. It means learning that joy can be quiet, steady, and honest. That nourishment is not about indulgence, but about alignment. That every choice at the table is a chance to whisper to ourselves, I still matter. My health still matters. My life still matters. So, as you prepare your next breakfast, remember, you don't need to improve oatmeal. You only need to let it be what it already is. A reminder that the simplest things done with care hold the deepest power. And to you, our dear viewer, if this is your first time joining us, or if you haven't yet subscribe to our channel today. Stay with us so you never miss the guidance and inspiration we share for living stronger, longer, and more joyfully. Most of all, we want to hear from you. Your thoughts, your memories, your perspective. Share them in the comments below, because your story may be the spark that lights hope in someone else's journey. Thank you for watching, and may your days ahead be filled with health, peace, and joy.